You are listening to the Beaverton, North America's trusted source of news.
This week on the Beaverton, CISA says highly classified top-secret information shows that India remains a foreign interference threat. India says they reviewed that info and it's all bogus. Everybody check on the mental well-being of your uncles because Don Cherry has signed off from his podcast for the final time. And the acclaimed Quebec singer who wrote the Just for Laughs theme song has passed away. That or the casket prank from the relaunch of Just for Laughs gags is gonna be epic. That's right, it's time to make fun of the news once again on the Beaverton Weekly Report. Welcome to the show, everyone. So glad you were tuning in. I'm your host, back, Luke Gordon-Field. I guess at this point I should kind of say part-time host. I keep dropping out unexpectedly and sending desperate text messages to Ian at like 2 in the afternoon, being like, hey, can you host? I'm in so much pain.
Oh, I thought those were friendship texts.
I mean, I think of you as a friend who can also host a podcast. The
yes.
best kind of friend. I am, so for those who care and no worries if not, you can skip ahead 30 seconds. I had a crazy sciatica thing in my leg that I had to be hospitalized and then not checked in. Sorry, I had to go to the ER and then they gave me painkillers that did nothing. So for 48 hours, I was just hunched over in a lot of agony. And then I finally got like the good painkillers and they kicked in and I was immediately like pretty pain-free and the highest I've ever been in my life right as I started listening to last week's episode of the podcast. So I was like, my mom came down, she was over helping with the kids, and she came down to say bye, and she was like, how's this week's podcast? And I was like, best podcast ever. I have no idea what they said, but it's great.
So should I not have believed that text you sent? Oh, man.
No, I think the moral of the story is if you're going to listen to this, get high as fuck. If you're not on painkillers right now, I don't know what you're doing. Pause.
The Beaverton, brought to you by Painkillers.
Yeah. Specifically Lyrica. It does,
I'm writing that one down.
that's
All
what
right.
did it for me. Hydromorphone, go fuck yourself. You and the Oilers can go fuck yourself. Lyrica, great.
You know it's good when you drop the name. Unsponsored. You're just like, guys, listen, it's changed my life.
Yeah.
If you want to hit.
There's not like a crisis of some kind of opiate crisis going around. It's okay to just
Not on this podcast.
Be super positive about painkillers.
Yeah. People love them. They test through the roof.
I'm just saying, if I get some free lyric out of this, I will return it responsibly to my healthcare provider once I'm no longer in pain. That's what I will do. Just kidding. I will get high and listen to this podcast. Anyways, joining me this week.
We're going to have a Lyrica party in the Patreon.
Yeah. Are three of our regular panelists, all of whom have recently declared a ceasefire. Ian MacIntyre, Nile Seguin, and Megan MacKay. Welcome, all of you.
Mm-hmm.
I've already violated the ceasefire.
Oh, no!
Oh, what?
You would be the one.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, let's dive in, and we dive in with, of course, war. What is it good for? Stopping other wars, maybe? Donald Trump has announced a ceasefire to the war that he kind of started, but then, or at least escalated. Let's back up a little bit. So on Sunday, I believe, Donald Trump and the United States bombed, 3 of Iran's nuclear enrichment sites. This was after, of course, as discussed on last week's podcast, a 10 or so days of Israel and Iran firing rockets and missiles at each other to, devastating effect in both countries, especially in Iran. When Trump dropped the bombs, every leader came out with the same statement, like they'd all been issued a memo, which was, we encourage all parties to come to the table. We condemn Iran's nuclear program, which was like, they hadn't done anything. They just got attacked twice. And everyone was like, yeah, but fuck you. It was such a bold, like, clearly we're all aligning against you, even though technically you did not start this at all. And by any objective standard, you are the attacked party here.
It's more like the concept of Iran's nuclear program, like the hypothetical nuclear program that it launches missiles and does things. That we're against, in theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows. Look, the U.S. is the drunk guy at the bar. Right now, you just side with him automatically. Otherwise, maybe you have a program. Maybe I gotta go over there and mess with your program a little.
Yeah. You look like you're enriching something over there. What are you doing? What are you doing under that bar?
Luxembourg. What? No.
I'm just here to launder your money. That's my definitely not German
Wow.
Luxembourg.
That nailed it. It was like I was there
dead on.
in the
Yeah.
capital of Luxembourg.
You're glooping out over there.
Is that the Lyrica still talking?
The Lyrica does make you speak with a German accent. Yes.
Potential side effect. One of the many side effects. Side effects may include.
I was going to say, like, Carney's statement made me laugh so much because I wrote it down. He was basically like, Iran's nuclear program, in theory, is bad. U.S. strikes were designed to help, which is like the most parsed statement you could possibly imagine. That's like saying like laxatives are designed to help, but they can also be terrible and destructive. In theory, like
They can really wreak havoc on certain areas of the planet.
Yeah, it's like saying to a friend, like, you went in there and you tried to help, and that's all I'm going to say. And by not saying anything else kind of says it all. And then also, like, by the way, the region remains very volatile. Please de-escalate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all Canadians get the fuck out.
Yeah, just so laughably non-judgmental that to me it calls a lot of attention to itself.
Yeah, it was. I mean, all the statements by all the leaders, but you're right, Carney's was just as bad as all of them. We're so clearly like, well, we can't blame. Like, Iran was attacked. We can't blame them technically. We can't blame the U.S. We sure as fuck can't blame Israel. How do we come up with a statement that somehow makes Iran look like the bad guy, but doesn't say it outright? Because then it's too obvious that we're just blaming who is again. I mean, I'm not trying to be too one-sided in all this, but like, who was clearly the victim of the first attack? Israel bombed them and started this whole thing. So, yeah, I know Israel defenders will be like, well, they were enriching their nuclear program and supporting the Houthis and et cetera, et cetera. I get all that. But technically, the war with Israel and Iran began very clearly with a bombing of Iran by Israel. It's like how in like World War II, the Japanese had a lot of reasons to attack America, but technically it started with Pearl Harbor.
Right.
You're so naive.
I don't need to go back to 1897 and the Sino-Soviet War.
The U.S. started it.
But yeah, so the obviously all this originates from the fear that Iran will develop nuclear weapons. That's what the bombing was designed to prevent. They were going after Israel was trying to kill.
In fairness, Iran does
scientists.
keep saying we would like to develop nuclear weapons.
Yes and no. I mean, anyways, here's the thing. That was the idea. I have a maybe controversial question.
How much Lyrica did Iran give you?
No, I have a maybe controversial question. And sure, it's a Lyrica talking. I got it straight off the boat from Tehran. But here's the question.
That's where the best
Why?
Lyrica comes
Yeah.
from.
Why is Iran not allowed nukes and Israel is? Other than Israel has them. And that's just how it is.
Because Iran didn't try and buy American nukes. And they should have done that.
Very good answer.
And the door's still open to that if they want to buy them with Trump coin.
God.
It does. Actually, you know what? You're joking, but why are they not doing that? Why are they not just look, like this is, if you are a country that wants something from the U.S., the next 4 years is the time.
Oh,
to do
open
it.
for
You could
business, baby.
Oh my goodness. If I'm Iran, I'm like, look, man, hey, we got off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Like,
that whole hostage thing,
Why don't you come over here? What do you like? What do you like, Jets? What do you like, Donnie? What do you like, Donnie?
Yeah, no, we liked the movie Argo too.
It's so great. It's so great.
I love how you cut Canada out of it totally, almost completely. Yeah. We love how it was pretended it was a CIA thing. Yeah, way to go. Fuck you, Ben Affleck. Anyways.
I mean, I think everyone, at this point, everyone has to get a nuke. And then, or we keep the nukes we already have and everyone gets 15 minutes with the nuke and we all share. Those are the two solutions. We cannot, we just, out of fairness.
Okay.
In this scenario,
I love this.
you have a question
Can
too.
I
You
follow
go
up?
first.
Can I
on the
follow
floor.
up?
Yep.
We do the NBA draft. So the weakest country has the best odds of getting the nukes. And then we just reverse the order, right?
So like French Guiana becomes the world's leading nuclear
The
power.
number one draft pick, French Guiana selects the American arsenal of nuclear weapons.
But you know how like the NBA draft is secretly rigged, so like the big markets get the best players. So it'll be like, and with the number one nuclear draft pick, the USSR? What the fuck?
I love the USSR again.
Look, we could do it like the NBA. If you want a higher draft pick, you have to trade up. What are you giving these countries? What do you give them? Straight cash?
Yeah, I would like to just
Support?
quickly go back to Megan's suggestion. In this scenario where we all get 15 minutes with the nukes, which I do love.
Yeah, of course.
Do we get total control over what happens with the nukes during our time with the nukes? Or is it like when you're like mayor for a day, but you don't really have the power?
I mean, here's the thing. There's someone behind you in line who's waiting for a nuke, right? So, like, you get to do what you want, but remember, 15 minutes up, you got to give the next guy a nuke. Okay?
So I can launch all but one nuke.
You gotta. He's waiting patiently, or she, or they, whoever.
Yeah.
They're waiting for a nuke. So
Yeah.
do whatever you want, but remember, it's like give a penny, take a penny. Use a nuke, pass a nuke, give a nuke.
This is an amazing idea.
So if I use a nuke, I got to build a new nuke for the country behind me.
I just think that's fair.
I love it.
I
This
love
is
it.
all
I love
coming
it.
from a place of pure delight with this idea.
I want to know what you're doing with that nuke other than detonating it. This has real, like, indecent proposal,
I
$1
mean-
million for a night with your wife kind of vibes.
You could look at it. You could How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb it and get on there and
Yeah.
pretend it's
Ride
a
it,
little
yeah,
pony.
yeah.
Yeah.
You-
Step one, draw a picture of Bonhomme on the nuke. Step two, do what you want with the Bonhomme on the nuke.
Now, hold on. It doesn't have holes. But
I mean, it does after my 15 minutes. Don't tell me what I can do with
Oh,
my 15
I was waiting for this to come back. Oh, thank God.
if you guys want to talk Bonhomme biology, we can do time and place. But I don't know if Iran wants to be looped in on that group chat.
I mean, I will never get over you saying the buttons is holes.
The
on
buttons
this
is
podcast.
holes.
So
Which was both
disturbing.
grammatically incorrect and the perfect description of it.
I got texts about that. Please don't say that again. Don't tell me what to do. When the buttons is holes, I'm delivering the truth. Oh.
Moving away from Bonhomme-based content and back to... So the reason I asked the question is because... And the reason I was objecting ever so slightly to your statement about how Iran keeps saying they want to develop nuclear weapons is Iran is a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Agreement. Iran has agreed to inspections. Israel is not a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Agreement. Israel has not agreed to inspections. Israel denies they have nuclear weapons, or at least won't acknowledge they have nuclear weapons, even though everyone knows they do.
Are they still sticking to that?
They essentially just like you can watch multiple video clips where people will ask like Israeli diplomats or whoever, does Israel have nuclear weapons? And they'll go like, about this weather, huh? Like they just won't, like it's like white noise.
So it's like when my doctor's like,
confirm or
Ian, have
deny.
you been going to the gym? And I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, gyms exist.
No,
There's
you
a thing
just
that I
wouldn't
can
answer.
do.
You'd be
Oh,
like,
okay, I changed this. I
Gyms
changed
gyms
this.
are, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, about this arthritis. Yeah. So anyway, so that's my little thing. Is like it's. Don't get me wrong. I do not want Iran to have nuclear weapons. I'm very pro disarmament and non-proliferation, but it is silly to me that like there's a country that keeps invading people, keeps starting wars, and everyone's like, well, it's fine for them to have a bomb because they'll never do nothing crazy to nobody. And then this country that hasn't invaded anyone, hasn't technically started this war, everyone's like, well, if they get the bomb 5 seconds later, they press detonate and the world goes kaboom. Mm-hmm. It seems like the far more militant actor in this is the one who has the nuclear weapon, but I get that they're not giving them back, and there's no way to undo that. So I guess best case of a bad scenario is don't let more people get the bomb. But the idea of everyone having a bomb is kind of the theory of mutually assured destruction, right? There's no scenario. Well, there is no scenario
In that it assures that we are all mutually destroyed. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
which is one way the Cold War could have gone. I'm acknowledging, but technically it didn't. So all those mad prognosticators were correct.
Wait, that took me a
What
second.
technicality?
There's a real gray area and all that, yeah.
Technically, there wasn't a nuclear Holocaust. Yes,
On paper.
on paper.
And also in practice. But mostly
We're not
in paper.
living in the momentary piece of time between when the bomb falls and the radiation washes over the land, and we've been living in this cycle for 40 years. We're not.
One of the side effects of Lyrica also includes
As I said that I broke my headphones. Just for everyone listening.
another side effect.
Yeah, thank you. But yes, so that's okay. That's my little philosophical thing. But let's talk about what is the most recent news of the day, which is that Trump, just today as we record, announced a ceasefire. And by announced, I think he kind of imposed it. Like there was really no suggestion that the other parties had agreed to it. Trump was just like, "There's a ceasefire now." And everyone's
Announced is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. He truth social did.
Yeah.
Like Churchill did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he announced it. That's actually isn't that the right word? There was no negotiation.
Yes.
He didn't call anybody. I am announcing.
He declared
that this is
it.
Declared.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
you go.
He declared
Nice.
it.
It's like how Steve Carell declared bankruptcy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael Scott declared bankruptcy in the office.
No, real Steve Carell, yeah.
Yeah. Real Steve Carell's doing not great, guys.
As opposed to Steve Carell. There's real Steve Carell and Steve Carell.
Steve Carell in Wyoming. I mean, he's doing fine.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, he is not real Steve Carell because he changed his name, or his family changed their name. Whatever, doesn't matter. So he announced a ceasefire, and in announcing the ceasefire, and obviously, look, that is good news. But of course, Trump being Trump, he had to add a little moment of comedy because he announced the ceasefire, and in the same Truth Social post, declared what name the war that he was ending should be given. He said, this will end what should be called the 12-Day War. Like, he described what the war would be known in our history books for years to come. He was like, because and obviously there's a pattern of naming wars after the 100-Day War, the 7-Day War. Like, there are, especially with Israel, there's a pattern of this. But I love that Trump's just like, not only am I ending this shit, I'm telling you what it's called, and no one's been calling it this, but I'm calling it this now.
Well, I also love how it wasn't a war, but it was.
Yeah.
And depending on when you ask,
the U.S. wasn't in the war, but they were.
And it wasn't regime change, but it for sure was regime change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the reason that Iran at least didn't object when Trump declared bankruptcy ceasefire is that the response from Iran that they had done mere hours earlier was, so clearly we're not trying to escalate this response. It was an attack on a U.S. base that was, forewarned. They gave the U.S. heads up. There was no casualties, no loss of life that would cause the U.S. to feel the need to counterstrike and then counterstrike back, and on the escalation will go, as it has with Israel. So that was, a positive step, and that's what I think allowed for such a quick turnaround from are we at war with Iran and is this going to be Iraq 2.0 to ceasefire? But that also shows that Iran may be a rational actor who isn't just looking to blow up the world with a nuclear weapon. Anyways.
If you were going to give one of those parties nukes. I mean, right now, at this moment.
And I should also mention that early intel that just came out an hour before we recorded this shows that the U.S. bombs, though important, did not actually eliminate Iran's nuclear sites.
This is the best. I actually had to look that up. Apparently, the intel report said they did not destroy the program, and the White House said that was flat out wrong and a clear attempt to demean Trump. This report came from the U.S. Pentagon. Like, down the road, their own guys. And they were like, fuck those guys.
I mean, you look at the photos and it's like, look at the before and after. This one has more dust than the other one. And you're like, yeah, maybe something happened for sure. Like a leaf blower someone walked by with. I don't know. It's all under so much rock that no one is going to know the extent of the damage, like, maybe ever.
I mean, famously dust-free Iran. Like, how did that get there? Who knows, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's from the U.S., obviously. It screams like a little eagle when you kick it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Screams like a little.
It's American Dust right there.
Oh, that's the name of a great country album.
That really.
Wait, wasn't that was a
American Rust.
I was thinking the John Oliver thing this week where he talked about that AI album that used the word dust like 1,000 times, and it's an AI
I was
country.
not aware.
That's cool. I can be the only one watching TV these days. That's fine. I'll accept
carrying
that.
the
It's not like all of us work in TV writing.
Thank you for keeping it in business there, Meg. That's really
It's fine,
appreciated.
It's fine. It's okay.
So here's a question I have to ask that I've never asked before, and I expect we'll never ask again. Did Trump nail this?
I mean, here's what I'll say. It's like there's no immediate consequences, but I feel like if you blow up someone's dad, they might be mad at you later. Like, that's kind of, there's going to be generational consequences. And I think America has this really interesting perspective of, like, there's Americans, and then there's every other person, and every other person is like, we attack them, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry, we're not mad, and it's not, thank you for liberating us, and everything's cool. And that's not how it go. Like, people are not going to go out for some McDonald's after the 5 funerals you had to go to.
America thinks the entire world is those clips from Jack Reacher that keep showing up on my YouTube algorithm for some reason. Where
Like the Tom Cruise Reacher or the one with Big Reacher?
No, Big Man Reacher.
Big Reacher, yeah.
Where
That's just Reacher.
Where he's just like walking down the street in small town America, and there's like a carjacking in front of him for no reason, and he beats the guy up and punches him in the face, and the guy passes out, and then he just keeps walking.
Yeah, no. It's like you are radicalizing the survivors of your attack against you. And I don't think Americans necessarily, I think they're like, that showed you the American might, and you're happy to be,
You're welcome.
Team America. And then they sort of walk off into the sunset, and it's like, you guys, not to bring up 9/11 like I do every episode, but like.
And now for the 9/11 corner with Meg.
9/11 corner,
Buttons
everyone.
and 9/11.
But it's like, I don't understand how a country that went through something like 9/11 doesn't understand like the national pain and like the anger and like all of those things that are just going to seep into the people that they attack internationally. Like, we're all just human beings, and we all get angry when we get.
But they're the protagonists of the world.
Yeah,
They're the protagonists of the story.
Main characters.
They're Reacher. They're all Reacher.
If only, man. I wish there was a whole species of people that were that big.
They all just kick the front of cars and airbags explode.
They should change.
And they hook up with the woman every season, and the woman changes every season. It's great.
They should change
one in, one out.
Change the slogan from "In God We Trust" to "We're all Reacher." America, the United States of America. We're all Reacher.
We're all Reacher.
But you raise a great point, Meg. And is it crazy for me to say I think Trump got exactly what he wanted out of this strike? And I think if what you're describing happens, that's also what he wants.
Yeah.
Because I think if years from now, Iran or they sponsor some terrorism or whatever, does a terrorism, whether it's on U.S. soil or to a U.S. base abroad or whatever, that's great for him because now he gets to go apeshit with no consequences and do anything he wants. And if that happens somehow after he's president, please let there be an after he's president, then he gets to sit on the sidelines and be like, wouldn't have happened if I was president. It's all their fault.
Yep.
And stuff like that. So it works perfectly for him either way. He got everything he wanted out of this weekend, which scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, I completely agree with that. The interesting thing is that his poll numbers take, so that's the only thing he didn't get. Now maybe that changes with the ceasefire because because I mean, America does not want to go to war with Iran. Like, I mean, as Ian joked on the website this week, it's like Trump is trying to make them remember all the bullshit that convinced them to support the Iraq war.
Right.
But it's not selling this time. You're selling the same shit and people aren't buying. Sure, there's 10% of people, all of whom probably work in Washington and are at conservative think tanks.
I feel like
regime change.
I'm being American to Americans now because that shocks me for some reason. I'm like, really? You guys don't all want to go to war?
I think
all
it's a weird thing of Americans love bombing the shit out of other people. They hate it when there are boots on the ground. And Trump understands that if I can bomb other people with no loss of American life and no boots tangibly on the ground, then it's a victory for me.
Yeah. And also his, in a weird way, his supporters, especially on the far right, are the most isolationist, anti-interventionists, of anyone. Harris was seen as more of a hawk on Iran than Trump was.
Oh, yeah, man. Hero to the podcast, Marjorie Taylor Greene, was saying this weekend how against this she was.
I mean, if there was going to be a female Reacher.
We did it. We got girl Reacher.
Reach S.
Yeah, Reach S. This year going against the Jewish space lasers. Yes.
Finally, equality.
Yeah. No, some of his...
This is what it looks like.
It feels good. Yeah.
Some of Trump's staunchest supporters were the ones who came out the hardest and were like, absolutely not. I will not die for Israel. I do not want to go. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, yeah, I mean, and Trump, one of the things that made him win the primary back in 2016 was being like, the Iraq war was a huge failure. George Bush is an idiot. I'm going to save the Republican Party and pull it away from the neocons. Not that I think he understood what neocons were, but that kind of just insulting the Republicans who came before him, who were all neocons and all pro-Iraq war, was what distinguished him from your Ted Cruz's and your Marco Rubios, who were still defending the Iraq war, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways.
Even this weekend, Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn, podcasts are stupid, never listen to them. They were set. You should see the face Luke's making.
You missed a great look that Luke. How do we? It's on the Patreon. It's on the Patreon, everyone.
We'll screen cap it. No, but they this weekend were like, wait, but Trump said he didn't like war, and he did a war. Did he lie to us?
Hey man, I don't know what that's Theo Vaughn.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
That was bad.
He's Dale Gribble from King of the Hill. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Wait, which one's the one who speaks in? Is it Dale Gribble? No, it's Boomhauser. Is it?
Oh, a little bit Boomhauer. Yeah, he's closer to Boomhauer's voice.
Sorry, yeah.
And dang old man, etc.
Who I just learned with the Revival News that was based on a real voicemail that my judge got from a guy who hated Beavis and Butthead and really spoke like that. So,
that's delightful.
Fun fact. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not trying to come out as pro-Trump nor pro-Iran, and I'm walking a fine line here. But even today, the reason I'm a little bit pro-Trump this week is even today. So of course they announced the ceasefire, or Trump imposes the ceasefire, and then it's time. So Iran has 12 hours, Israel has 12 hours after that. So of course, what both sides do is they start bombing as much as they can to get in under the wire. And
it's like a shot clock.
Yeah, and so Trump comes out and gives a speech on the White House lawn, not a speech, but a press conference on the White House lawn, and he just comes out and says, these people have been at war together for so long, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Bringing some dignity to the office.
Honestly, I know, but honestly,
that was. I hated that I liked that.
I liked it
because I was
too.
like, that is the first time that I looked at. I heard something from Trump and I was like, he meant that. He meant, there's no doubt in my mind. He meant that like that was a moment. All you got to do is just track when he's cursing. I'm like, oh, that's true. Everything else is just bullshit.
Also, he's not wrong. Israel, to everything you said about America not understanding the lessons of 9/11, Israel does not understand that the more people you kill, the more enemies you create. So Trump saying they do not know what the fuck they're doing because they're so locked in this cycle of war and violence is accurate. It's a great summation of what people have written, 1,000-page essays and books.
Yes.
That's probably where he got it from. He just went through all the background material. I was like, I know what I just realized.
Sometimes the court jester sums things up pretty goddamn well. You know what I mean?
We really do have to hand it to Trump for learning that the Middle East conflict is bad this weekend.
4 more years, baby.
Look, it's a low bar, I know, but you know what? When the entire world...
You were gonna end.
What, 4 more years, maybe? Yeah.
Slow burn.
I
I'm a bit
agree.
of a creeper on that one. Yeah. Well, I guess we are pro-Trump now. Sorry, I interrupted.
This is a whole different kind of podcast
Pro-Trump,
now.
we're pro-Iran, and we're anti-Oilers, and that's all you need to know.
So deal with it, you beta cucks.
We're also anti 9/11. I feel like I should be the one to say that.
Jury's still out here, man. I don't know.
So, I mean, that it was really fun watching the people who are trying to just stick with whatever Trump does, go from anti-war to pro-regime change to we won the war in like 5 seconds flat. Because obviously if the goal of is regime change, which is the secret other goal besides nuclear disarmament,
yes.
then, there's nothing you could do worse than attacking someone. Because it's like you get all the people who would maybe be out protesting, the regime in Iran. And now they're all, literally today, people were out in the squares celebrating the regime in Iran for standing up to the U.S., standing up to Israel. So regime change, if it was ever going to happen, just took a huge number of steps backwards because, now popular uprising has been delayed for sure.
I think regime change works all the time. I still have my Chalabi t-shirt from Iraq in 2003. People love that guy. What's he up to these days? Don't ask.
I'm pretending I know who this is.
He's the guy
How's everyone else doing?
He's the guy that you...
I assume that's the guy they put in after.
Well, he's the guy that went to the U.S. and was like, Iraq totally has WMDs. You guys should invade them. Install me. I'm beloved there. And then they tried to install him, and they were like, we hate this guy so fucking much. And he died in exile.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not talking about external regime change. I'm talking about popular uprising.
I know what you mean, but like
Iran,
the U.S. wants to do external regime change for sure, and it's a terrible idea. Never, ever, ever works. But you're right. Yeah, like they've only strengthened the Ayatollahs. It's Khomeini still, right?
Yeah.
I should know these things. They've only, you know what it is? It's because there's a Simpsons joke
Yeah,
about
I was gonna
Ayatollah
say.
Khomeini, and I always check myself. I'm like, wait, so is that old information? And no, it's not.
I thought you were going to say because it's been a minute since he's been there, right?
No, he's been there for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Where-
there were
where it
Ayatollahs
is-
before him.
Right, no, I
which
know
is
that.
what the Simpsons joke is.
I
Yes,
know
yes.
that, but it's just like he's not dead yet. Okay.
No, it's a Kim Jong-un, Kim Il-sung situation where you're constantly just like, wait, which one?
Which one?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the ceasefire was just announced today, and as we joked off, Mike, if there's anything we know about Israel and ceasefires, is they always stick to them and never break them under false pretenses ever. So we can all assume this ceasefire will last for years and years to come, and/or might have been broken by the time this episode comes out. So if we've been completely off the mark for the last 15 minutes,
I really
our
did
bad,
mean to
yo.
preface this section with that. Of, you're listening to this hours after we recorded. Everything could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean that is the news in 2025, but especially in this part of the world, things move very quickly. So why don't we talk about something that won't be changing because Parliament has adjourned and they can't change it for the summer. Bill C-5 passed the House of Commons and is now law. But I think the Governor General signed it, but anyway, she will if she hasn't already. It is a omnibus bill. If you're not familiar with it, the first part it was eventually split into 2 parts. The first part is completely uncontroversial. It was just about eliminating barriers to interprovincial trade. The second part is where things get interesting. It allows cabinet to greenlight energy and infrastructure projects before any study has been done on them, environmental or otherwise. Cabinet can choose for the project which laws apply and which laws don't. And I know we were talking about that a few weeks ago with Doug Ford and provincial laws, and I was like, well, it's not like federal laws, so it's not like they can commit murder or something. Now we're in the federal law space, so the criminal code. They can just choose which criminal code.
So close to the Canadian purge.
Yeah, it's in order to build this pipeline, we must have 1 day of the purge.
I don't know, man. The U.S., we got to do it. Elbows up.
Wait, what?
Elbows up when you're purging is a good strategy for purging. Yeah.
I think
You want to keep those elbows up.
It'll show them when we kill each other for sure. That'll really assert our dominance.
It took me a second before I was like,
Don't think
wait,
too hard
that
about these.
sequence of words, what was that?
How did you survive the purge? Elbows up. What?
Well, C5. Wait, what?
Yeah, so that's where we're at. So it seems to be a situation where Carney has basically come out and said, well, you wanted these projects to move faster, so no government regulations at all ever again. Mm-hmm. It seems to be where we're at.
Okay, so I clearly did not fully understand. So I get the why behind no committees and let's just go. So I get what you're doing there. Why the no law thing?
Well, so hypothetically, there's laws that like ban, especially environmental laws, like ban, like what are the things Daniel Smith started about? Tankers. No, there's a tanker ban. Hypothetically, they say for this project, the tanker ban doesn't apply. Use as many tankers as you want.
I feel like maybe you could specify the laws. If you just specify like tanker ban laws.
No time, man. Elbows up. Hurry.
You can't say that for everything, Mark.
There's no time.
I can and I will. Elbows up.
No time. Elbows up. What?
It is hilarious to me that they're like, this is so important and so urgent. We have to get this done right now. By the way, summer vacation. Peace.
Yeah. So nothing screams we didn't want to answer questions about this, like passing it the day before you all disappear for 3 months.
Yeah.
Is a very good point. It's like, you know what? If it's so important, how about tack on an extra week?
Yeah.
Just an extra week.
Stick
too.
around.
Just, yeah.
Get some stuff done.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, this was raised by the one Liberal MP who voted against it, Nathaniel Erskine-Smith. But if a Conservative Prime Minister, forget even about Polly, but if Harper had passed a law like this, is this not the kind of law that Liberals would lose their shit protesting?
1,000%.
Yeah. Like you said, we lost our shit 2 weeks ago when Doug Ford did this on this very podcast.
Wait, he did it on this podcast.
Yeah, he came on as a guest.
Just broke in.
It was one of your off weeks.
Normally
but
I do
yeah.
this in Queen's Park, but
You're like, hello there, folks.
You know how you had food poisoning? We replaced you with Doug Ford.
He was a real get at the last second. It was weird. Great jokes, though.
I am known as the Doug Ford of comedy.
Yeah,
So I'm practically the same guy.
He actually does an even better impression of the ghost of William Lyon Mackenzie King.
that
It was
Crazy.
spot on.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah, I mean, it seems to me like this is, I mean, I know we can say endlessly Carney is a conservative and he's not really liberal, but this to me is the most, like even Harper didn't pass a law like this, but this is the most Harper-esque law that I think you can imagine. It's like, it cuts out Parliament, it cuts out all the cabinets, it cuts out every independent assessment organization, all the bureaucrats, and specifically it cuts out indigenous groups who are the ones who have the most stakes often with these energy projects because they go through their fucking land more often than not. So to me, it's the most Harper law ever. I'm shocked Harper didn't try and pass it, other than maybe he didn't think he could go that far. But
Harper's at home like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Whoa. That was an option?
just, I get to say with a stroke of the pen which laws are laws.
That's a thing. Just popping back Lyrica, watching some Murdochs. That's fucking crazy.
Is he watching like seasons of it or just his episodes?
Just his episode.
Right.
Yeah,
Just his scenes.
just him and the Ernest Hemingway one.
Oh my God, are we going to have... This is not the most important part of this news story. Are we going to have Carney on Murdoch Mysteries as well?
I mean, he looks like he's from the 1900s.
For sure, yes.
Or whatever the
Jury's still out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
might
guy
be.
could play a disgraced phrenologist for sure.
I mean, he wouldn't be disgraced. He'd be the preeminent phrenologist in the
He
land.
would be leader, imminent leader.
Yeah, he'd be head of the phrenology department at the
Fair
University
point.
of
Okay,
Toronto.
fair point.
Now everyone take a second to Google phrenology. We'll wait.
One time in the 9th grade, I had to do a science fair project or a science project for class.
Where is this going?
We were all allowed to pick our own topic, and I started doing phrenology, and then my teacher eventually asked me about it and made me change it.
Wait. So were you doing it as like, here's how science can be abhorrently wrong and racist, or were you doing it like the very real science of phrenology, which I will now explain to you?
I was doing it because it made me laugh, and I wanted to see how long I could get away with it. so that I could talk about it 2 decades later on a podcast.
Yeah. There weren't a lot of black folks in your high school, were there?
Not so much, no. It was going to make the project real hard. No.
So if we're keeping track, Ian, pro-phrenology.
Don't say it.
Luke,
Don't say it.
pro-Trump and Iran.
Oh, I thought you were going to go to the destroyed democracy. Never mind. That's fine.
I'm so glad
I would never want to be known for my opposition to proportional representation, but being pro-Iran in this day and age, totally fine.
I got to come up with a hot take this episode. I feel like I'm catching up.
And Meg, Bonhomme expert.
But I'm a biology expert. I'm constantly doing studies.
The thing about doing studies.
She's got a huge freezer.
Yeah, I mean, just a Jeffrey Dahmer of Bonhomme specifically.
He's in one piece. He can't get out.
He ain't moving much. Anyways, to come back to Bill C-5, the thing that, I mean, obviously the big question is whether the Supreme Court is going to strike this down, which, I'm no expert, but I would imagine that, this is a situation that on indigenous grounds, which are not subject to Section 33, the notwithstanding clause, there seems to be a very obvious reason to strike this down, but I guess you have to wait maybe for its application. You can't strike it down in theory. But we'll see.
We're all nodding along to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Finally, a hot take.
Some parts of the charter, you can use Section 33 to overrule the Supreme Court. Some parts you cannot.
Right.
And some parts of the Constitution you cannot. Indigenous rights are not subject to Section 33. So, you can use Section 33 if it's this infringes on Section 7, Section 8, whatever, but you can't use it for indigenous issues because that predates the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Who else pretended to understand that?
My
hand is raised.
That's
Fantastic.
All right, now let's break down the
you
Oaks
respect
test where
us
you
so
can...
much. You think you guys are sort of lawyers too, right? I love that. I have a lawyer face. I'm very proud.
Of course, before you get to Section 33, you have to conduct the Oaks test under Section 1, which is where a government can, in a situation where you're kind of using competing rights, you can argue that a law, though it violates the Charter technically, is actually non-violation because the benefit overall outweighs the negative impact.
I kind of hope Andrew sort of fades the volume on that.
Yeah, I missed a couple weeks ago when we just all got to bully you.
This is the payback.
He's been planning this. Finally.
Yeah, my revenge is not bullying you guys. It's just teaching you Constitutional Law 101.
You monster.
Same difference, really.
And on the hottest day of the year, too. I'm sitting here sweating my Scottish ass off.
We had to turn off the air conditioners because they messed with the sound. So this might be a shorter episode.
That's what they do to POWs, isn't it? All right, so the Constitution, there, please.
But I think the thing, and this is the last thought on C5, and then we'll move on, is there's a thing in history where centrists and liberals create the tools of their own destruction, where they create a law or a system of governance or a structural system that then right-wingers come in and take and use it in ways that the centrists and liberals never envisioned. And this just seems I feel like when this law passed, I could hear Pierre Poilievre somewhere in the mountains of Alberta just laughing his ass off with all the things he's going to use this to do if he ever gets in power.
To use Dungeons and Dragons terminology, you got to think of the power gamers. If you come up with a rule, there's always going to be that one, and that's the problem. The liberals and all the progressives don't think like power gamers. You got to have a power gamer to be oh, you know how I would use that? Just go off.
Well, and even the most charitable, okay, so Mark Carney's going to play by the rules, and he's not going to. You're assuming the most charitable take of this. He's not going to abuse this at all. He is not in power forever, and he's also not thinking legacy right now. But this is the one time where you kind of do want one of those politicians that really, really cares about. I was the guy that did this, because they're thinking about the repercussions of what they're going to be doing a couple years down the road.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, a couple of years down the road, it sucks that they introduced, some aspect of this that says it sunsets in 5 years, which is definitely longer than this, government, and will probably be a conservative one next. The Greens were maybe 2 years, and they were no, 5's good.
But see, the thing is, it wouldn't even matter if it's sunset in 5 years because now that they've passed it, all Poilievre has to do, is, assuming he has a majority, is come in and say they passed it, I'm just passing the same law. I'm just renewing it, or even if it's expired, I'm just passing the law, and there's no way he'll get the same amount of backlash because he's like, I'm just doing what the last guys did. What's the difference?
He's pulling the sun back up.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, and again, assuming it's not struck down, and indigenous rights don't exist, and environmental concerns don't exist, and I can do whatever I want to make Canada the richest oil-producing country of the 1980s, as he's been envisioning. And
Right on time, buddy.
He's
right on time.
bringing back those shoulder pads and flock of seagulls haircuts.
I mean, I haven't been able to sit for a haircut with my back, so I'm getting close to that flock of seagulls look. Anyways, okay, before we move on to our big quiz to the end, a quick message to you, listener. First of all, thank you so much for listening. Patrons, thank you so much for joining and for giving us the support we need to do this, to keep the site going. We love you. We love you. Thank you so much. If you could be so kind, whatever app you're using, feel free to jump on, leave a review, rate and review, 5 stars, 5 stars. Also, if you're chatting with people about, stuff they're into, maybe mention, hey, I've been listening to this great podcast lately. Tell a friend. Post about it on social media. I'm ignoring a call from my wife who's calling me right now. Anyways, that comes up on my computer as I try to talk.
Take it out. Take it out.
Now who's getting cucked?
I
don't know what that
nothing, I
means.
guess.
Sorry.
Wow.
It automatically closes my Word document when she calls. I'm not trying to just put her on blast.
Hold on, I got a call
But
coming
you'll be
in.
listening to this, so that's great.
Sorry, guys, I got to take this.
Yeah. Anyways, and on that note, it's time for the approximately 10-minute long quiz.
It's the approximately 10-minute long quiz. Brought to you by Time.
Every week I ask our panel to play the approximately 10-minute long quiz where I put their knowledge of some less widely reported news stories to the test. Panel, our first question: how did a Dallas man secure 120 free airline flights over the past 6 years?
Just getting transferred from one federal prison to the other.
I guess that would work. That's actually a good answer. That's
My only theory.
Technically, it's a
Free flight.
Yeah,
Just got to stab a guy.
That's free.
Did it again. Boom.
It doesn't cost anything to stab someone.
no.
Not
Stabbing's
feeling this
free.
prison. Time to move on. Make it somewhere on the East Coast. I'm making a stabbing motion for those of you at home.
What's the Nick Cage movie where he's a prisoner being
Con Air, baby.
Con Air. He's just Con Airing it all over the United States.
Full on Con Air.
Singing Sweet Home Alabama on those flights,
yeah.
which is also a part of the film.
Yeah, sure. Any other guesses?
He got those 120 free flights with the genius scam of becoming a commercial airline pilot.
Oh,
Very nice. Yeah, a little catch me if you can, but for reals.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
I think he was little. Like he was like three inches tall, and he crawled into the wheel well of a flight, and then he froze to death. And they didn't
Literally Con Air.
They didn't really.
That's what happens to Dave Chappelle's character.
Dave Chappelle freezes to
That
death
is
in
what
Con
happens
Air?
to Dave
Yeah,
Chappelle,
he jumps
yes.
in the wheel well.
I don't watch movies.
Well, I mean,
Just TV, because that's what keeps
Just
you employed.
TV. But anyway, I was going to say they found him after 120 flights. I guess I did a plagiarism, so I don't get a point, but whatever.
Does anyone know the real answer? You were not that far off, Ian, but he impersonated a flight attendant.
Oh,
So yeah, he's been. By the way, it's a less fun ending. He's been convicted of wire fraud and entering into a secure area of an airport under false pretenses. So it didn't work out as well as it did for Leonardo DiCaprio. But yeah, in a Catch Me If You Can style move, he was able to book the flights by falsifying employment information, providing badge numbers, and allowed him to quickly bypass the security of the online booking options for airline employees. So it's like Catch Me If You Can, but like woke. He's like, men can be flight attendants too, and I'm just gonna ride the skies as a flight attendant.
and then he's just got to make like thousands of rum and cokes.
yeah,
over here.
exactly.
There are some crimes where I'm like, I feel like there should be like a referendum pardon. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anyone is like, yeah, send him. We're like, no. Let's let him skate on that one. That was a cool one.
I feel like he earned it, to be honest.
The game recognized game clause. Yeah, for sure. I would love that.
He got all those free flights, but then worked hundreds of hours without pay.
I think the implication is he did not work as a flight attendant on those flights, but like Leo and Catch Me If You Can did not fly the planes. He just got a ride as a pilot to like his next destination.
Right.
The implication was they were flying him to a location because he was then going to work as a flight attendant on another
Sure.
flight. Except he just didn't do that. He just got off and was in that place.
Right.
Yes, but I like the version where he just works for free as a flight attendant. And he's like, gotcha, take that, Delta. He's the best flight attendant they ever had. He's stowing overhead luggage, mixing drinks with one hand.
Did like CPR on some woman and saved her life.
Starts getting promoted. He's at corporate. Oh no, this has gone horribly right.
Putting down roots in the company, like making friends.
He's the president of the company now.
Oh God.
Still hasn't made $1, but he's gotten so many free flights. No points on that one. Our next question is a bit of good news. In this economy, what Ontario project was this week completed ahead of time and under budget?
The Death Star. I've been watching Andor.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. Sorry. That's done. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I think that we finally did it, and we poisoned all the ducks in the Greenbelt. And you know what? Tainted bread is like so much easier to find when you go with a contractor, and it's cheaper too. So no more ducks. Goodbye. Quack quack. See you in hell. And great deal. And super fast.
I mean, you're thinking in Doug Ford's world. I won't deny it.
Great. Thanks for the point. I'll take it. Yeah.
All right, we're done here.
Point for psychology? Yeah.
I was just going to say we finally invaded Manitoba, but
No, that's coming. That'll go way over budget, though. Wars, constant over budget. It's like the Olympics. The real answer, and this is, I didn't think this would be widely known, but I wanted to mention it because it's such a cool story. Onita Energy Storage, Canada's largest grid-scale battery project that was planned, developed, constructed, and is partially owned by First Nations. It is providing 250 megawatts of electricity into the provincial grid, the equivalent of a mid-sized gas plant. The basically idea is, and it's one of those things that as soon as I say it, you're going to be like, well, yeah, we thought of that 15 years ago, right? And it turns out, no. What Indigenous groups in the area realized is because wind and solar power don't produce all day, like if it's not windy, if the sun's not shining, et cetera, they need to be paired with batteries to operate most effectively. And yes, that's the part where everyone's like, right, we thought of that a long time ago. No, we hadn't. So before, we were just taking the energy, pumping it into the grid. They have combined it with batteries, so batteries charge when excess power is going, like when the wind turbines are pumping at like over max capacity, and then pump that electricity back into the grid when demand is high, like on a hot afternoon when people crank up their AC. So this was completed way quicker than expected. When they went to the province with the idea, shockingly, Doug Ford's government wasn't into it, despite it being the most logical thing ever, but they turned it around. Credit to them for that, I guess.
They went to one of his daughter's weddings and handed him a briefcase full of money.
And they were like, also, we'll make your life much better and much easier. And the project's done. They've succeeded. And they're already off to build another one of these. I forget where. I'm not sure if it's in Ontario or outside. But yeah, so the only question remains is, would the Onita tribe like to take over running the Eglinton LRT? Because they seem to be much better at things than we are, so that would be great. So kudos. Yes. So sorry, not a question I thought many people would know about, but I wanted more people to know about because it's such a cool story.
It really is.
Yeah.
Can it really be called completed ahead of time when they invented batteries? Like decades?
Well, they had
possibly centuries after.
Well, but again,
Really?
I'm not claiming they invented batteries. But
Hey, this isn't your good news podcast, Niall. I'm going to shit on this if I want to.
They created a massive facility that makes existing green energy way more efficient and pumps way more electricity into the grid than just the wind turbines and the solar panels could do on their own.
I don't like it.
Deal with that, Ian.
it's
Take the win. Take it.
It's optimization, not new technology, to be clear. But yes, like I know it seems ridiculous. I'm not saying they were the first people on Earth to think of combining wind turbines with batteries, but in Ontario, at least, this system was not in place before them. They did it. They get full credit for doing it.
I guarantee Denmark's had this for decades.
Well, yeah, probably, but it looks good in Lego. I don't know. Fuck them. I'll never forget Hans Island or whatever that island we were fighting with them about is.
Oh my God.
Moving right along, the NBA and NHL finals have recently wrapped up. Fuck you, Oilers. You lost. Fuck you. What common feature?
So weird.
What common feature do the current NBA, MLB, which is baseball, and NHL playoff MVPs all share?
Erectile dysfunction.
I mean, maybe. I guess we don't know.
There's no shame in it.
Yeah.
They just all have it. It's fine.
No, there is no shame.
There's no shame in it, but they all have it probably, maybe.
I mean,
Almost certainly.
I don't know why probably.
You have the juice.
I mean, they're young, so they'd be less likely than older people to have it.
Isn't erectile dysfunction like a cardiovascular thing? Can you be an MVP of basketball and have a cardiovascular issue?
That's something to ask the boner doctors. I don't know. No one talks to me about that. I'm busy with bonhams.
I think that's the main cause, but I do think there are other causes of erectile dysfunction. So maybe these athletes were just suffering from extremely low testosterone, which also seems
Sure.
Likely.
Yeah.
You never know. Look, I'm just saying it's
professional
possible.
athletes, yes.
Sure, yeah.
The common feature that they all share, they were all the murderer.
Oh my God.
Love it.
That's
Agatha Christie.
Yeah. Murder on the Orient Express.
Fun one.
Into this
That
sports
was good.
question. Yeah.
I'm gonna try a real
Yeah.
one. I'm gonna try. Are they all Canadian?
Ding, ding, ding.
What?
Points and
Oh,
Nile.
shit, son.
They are
Canadian.
all Canadian. Admittedly, the hockey one, not a huge surprise.
Don't take this from us.
Yeah. But NBA, the most recent one, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a Canadian, and he's, I believe he's from Hamilton, and he won the MVP. He's amazing and he's super young, so he has many potential more MVPs in his future. He was also MVP of the regular season, scoring leader, etc. He has this season is one of the greatest basketball seasons of all time, not just for Canadians, but for everyone. And then the Major League Baseball, Freddie Freeman, who it's a bit of a cheat because he's also he's dual citizenship, but he plays for Team Canada in the Olympics and does baseball have Olympics, whatever, international baseball events, which is to honor his mom, who is from Canada and who I believe passed away when he was kids, which is very sweet. So yeah, three of the four North American sports, their finals MVP is Canadian. Awesome. Fun fact: the finals MVP of the Canadian Football League is American. So it goes back and forth. You know what I mean? It goes back and forth. But yeah, points and on that one. Very good guess. Last question. Complete the headline. You guys know how this game works. I'm going to read a headline. It's going to be missing some words. You fill in the words. Family contests will of deceased 84-year-old widow after she leaves bulk of her estate to...
The Beaverton Weekly Report podcast, and they should all mind their own damn business.
I wonder if you can do a Patreon subscription from Beyond the Grave.
Oh my God! Yeah, we do have a new Patreon tier that we're announcing. That is, put us in your will. You'll get mouse pads and stuff. It'll be great.
Very useful.
Great
for the
merch.
deceased, yeah. Get a clove of garlic in case they come back. You know.
Sure.
Yeah, the tier is called I Am Dead. Here is $10.
Yeah.
So if you go on the Patreon, click that one.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
That's fine.
I got nothing. Meg?
Mine was me, but I guess I'm part of the Beaverton Weekly Report, so I'll share it with you.
I was going to say, instead of getting 1/5, you should go for the whole share.
I know, but then I'll feel bad.
What
I'll
is it,
roll up in
tontine?
with a fur coat and covered in gold. And it'll be really embarrassing for you
buys a
guys.
lot of walk-in freezers.
Damn, you're so right.
The real answer, family contests will of deceased 84-year-old widow after she leaves bulk of her estate to her male escort. Get it, girl.
That guy put in the work, man.
Yeah.
Sex work is
that's what
work,
I'm
baby.
saying.
Yeah.
Sex work is work.
100%.
Absolutely.
And by the way, for anyone who's like, how dare she, her family, she didn't, as I said, widow, so she was predeceased by her husband. She did not have any kids. So the people contesting are like a greedy niece and nephew in Australia.
And how much money was it?
$1 million.
He put it down.
Yeah, they probably never even called her. He did a lot more than call her, okay? He did
put it
a lot
down.
more than call her, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, were they putting in the work like this on her? I don't think so.
I
Damn
hope
right.
not. Yeah.
She did not have a hip problem before she met him. Up top. We're high-fiving. We're all into it.
Can't hear it. It's quiet. We are.
Everyone's into it.
So there's also a new person who's challenging who was her friend who she didn't leave money to, and he's just but I'd like it. And everyone's like, well, what's your claim? And he's like, I was her buddy. And it's what the fuck are we doing here?
My claim is I'd like that money.
The basis is all just she wasn't in her right mind, and I just want someone to be she wasn't in her right mind because she was getting fucked too hard.
Yeah, man.
She got boned out of her mind.
That guy was that good.
The friend was like, what about me? And then the escort was like, 5 times one day.
Guy's getting friend zoned from beyond the grave.
So for this, the case is pending, so it hasn't been adjudicated yet, but I'm full team escort, man. Go for that guy.
for God's sakes.
I know you said that windmill thing was the good news story. This is the good news story of the week for me.
This is just yet another way you're shitting on that project, let's be honest.
It's a feel-good
I don't like
story.
it.
Brings hope for all of us. Anyways.
Yeah, all of us, if we could Richard
all
Gere-esque
decide to
segue
become
into
sex
it.
workers.
Yeah. I'm just saying, look, leave your money to whoever you want. Well, now you won that one. Would you like the people to know anything about what you got going on?
Yes. I have 2 podcasts. One is Comedians in Dungeons and Dragons, which is a super fun podcast where I play Dungeons and Dragons with some comedians. And then I have Total Annihilation, which has been alluded to by one Ian.
Hamish.
Yes, I was thinking of my next thought.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were trying to name his middle name. I thought you were trying to do Ian, like middle name MacIntyre. Sorry.
The point is, I have a total annihilation. Is my goddamn
Now,
podcast.
let's pursue this.
No! Total Annihilation is my podcast. It's a good news podcast.
Wonderful. Megan?
So I'm Skeeton on Blue Sky at MMMEGAN, and my middle name is Danielle, in case we're sharing middle names.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can't share mine.
Ian?
Still writing nonsense on thebeaverton.com. Check that out.
Wonderful.
My middle name's Matthew.
Yeah.
I thought it was Hamish.
No, I just thought it was
Is that what you were looking up?
He was looking up his own middle name, being like, I can't tell them this. Well, my middle name's in my name. It's Luke Gordon-Field, but I do have a secret fourth middle name, or second middle name, fourth name, that I will never reveal, and you can't guess it.
It's on the Patreon.
It's on the Patreon.
It's Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah. But you can find me attending multiple physiotherapy and chiropractic appointments a week as I try and heal from this back thing. Thank you so much for listening. I will be gone again next week, but this one was planned. Ian will be taking over as host for next week's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and Ian will talk to you then, and I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Have a good one. Bye.
The Beaverton Weekly Report is produced by Andrew Rivalme in partnership with the From Superheroes Network. Visit FromSuperheroes.com to hear more great podcasts like this.